Hello beautiful, my name is Mina. Welcome to my channel, Mina Reads, and today we are going to be doing my January wrap-up. I am going to be telling you not only the books I read in January, but also all of the other media I consumed, because there's kind of a lot of it and I really want to talk about it. So we're changing things up. I hope you guys are into it, and let's get into the books first. Okay, so the first book that I read in 2024 was Dragon Unleashed by Grace Draven. This is the second book in the Fallen Empire series. The first book in this series follows a couple. One of them is a gladiator who's trying to escape the arena, and the other one is a fire witch who is about to be sacrificed in like this crazy ritual that their country does every year. The gladiator and the fire witch escape together, and that book is about them falling in love. So it's a really intense, plot driven, death defying like journey book of them trying to escape the evil empress's clutches. In this second book, I want to say it's a little bit of a calmer story. It's still a little bit messed up, but definitely a lot calmer than the first book in the series is. So this one follows a character named Halani, who is a healer in this nomadic tribe, and she comes across this man named Malachus. Malachus is a dragon shifter, and he's one of the last of his kind. The rest of his people have kind of all been hunted into extinction, and he is searching for something called his mother bond, which is like, it's the bones of his mother, but it's kind of enchanted and it's imbued with some kind of magic that like keeps him strong and like long-lived or whatever. And so he's hunting it down because it's being sold on the black market. He's trying to find it, and in his travels trying to find his mother bond, he ends up getting injured by some thieves, and Halani swoops in and saves him. And so this is about her kind of nursing him back to health, introducing him to her culture and into her clan of people. And it's really interesting. It's very sweet, a little bit slow moving, but I really enjoy the dynamic between Halani and Malachus. Their vibe is just so sweet, and I feel like they spend a lot of downtime together because he's healing, and so it's just something that's very sweet and casual and really comfortable about the relationship that they have brewing. But there is some plot stuff going on in the background. I won't really like spoil that or talk about it in any detail, but there is some of that to look forward to if you're not just in the mood for like a slow, sweet, sappy romance. I did give this one 3 stars though, because as much as I love Grace Draven, I do feel like the conflict between these two, when it does finally arise like in the latter half of the book, I felt like the conflict was a little bit too valid. I felt like maybe they shouldn't get back together. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe if I was in a situation, that would be my breaking point. Like, I don't think I would be able to do it. I just don't know. Like, it was a bit too much for me. And I'm gonna put a spoiler warning here, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, mute me for this part of the video. But I have to tell you like the situation that happens, just so that you can understand my perspective, okay? All right, so the situation, like I said, is that Halani is a part of this nomadic tribe, and they are merchants. They sell things, but sometimes that's not enough to like make their living, and they have a really large community. So sometimes they turn to grave robbery to make their money. They rob people's bodies and they sell stuff on the black market so they can have money to feed their community that way. And Malachus finds this out, and he's like very disgusted seeing them desecrate these graves. It's something that hits really close to home for him, because the whole story is about him tracking down his mother bond, which is the literal bones of his mother that have been pillaged from like her grave site. And so he feels like just so disgusted by this idea of like desecrating a grave. In finding out that she does this thing to survive, it's something that bothers him. And the way that it resolves is that he kind of understands that their community is in dire economic straits, and they also like promise they're never going to do it again and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. I understand the economic reasons behind why they would do it. I understand his reasonings for being really disgusted with it, but I feel like I don't know if that's something I would be able to like move past, like knowing that my girlfriend like pillages and plunders and desecrates graves, and that's something that like really deeply disgusts me in my core. Even if she promises to never do it again, like, would that fix it? For me, I'd say no. But that's just me. Like I said, for people who don't want to listen to the spoilery portion, it's a cute romance. It definitely is. And I love the way that Grace Draven does like her magical worlds. I just feel like they're so well built and developed, and they feel really good to like live in and sink your teeth into. But I just felt like, I don't know, their conflict was a little bit too serious. A little bit too serious for me to personally get over it and be like, yeah, I want them to be together forever and ever and ever, you know? And I spent a lot of time talking about that one because that's pretty much the only book I read all January. yeah, so I read 2 manga also, but there's so much you can say about a manga. So I read volume 7 of Sign of Affection. Sign of Affection is a josei romance manga about a girl named Yuki who is deaf, and she is in her first year of college, and so she's kind of spreading her wings, gaining her independence, and she also ends up encountering this guy named Itsuyomi, and he is a polyglot. He knows a lot of languages. He's really into traveling, and when he meets her and finds out that she uses sign language to communicate, he asks her if she could teach him and tutor him, and so through this tutoring they kind of start falling in love. And this is volume 7 of that story. I really love Yuki and Itsuyomi so much. Their relationship is just so beautiful and heartwarming, and the art style is also really, really gorgeous, and it finally has an anime. So I have started watching the anime, and the animation is so glorious. I love it so much. So I finally read volume 7. I need to read volume 8. I'm waiting for it to come in from my library, but good stuff. Then the last thing that I read was Yakuza Lover volume 1, which is about, you guessed it, a girl who's in love with this guy that's in a Yakuza. So pretty much this girl, she's at a party and she ends up witnessing a drug deal. And the Yakuza show up. One guy from the Yakuza, like, he sees her and she's fighting with this drug dealer because the drug dealer was like trying to kidnap her and her friend. And then the Yakuza boss comes in and he's like, oh, like, she's fiery, she's protective of her friend. I like that in a woman. He has a crush on her. He's obsessed with her. After this, he's like super in love with her, and she has a crush on him, and this is about her being the girlfriend to a Yakuza underboss and how complicated and dangerous that is, but also how much she loves him. It's a spicy manga, so they're clapping cheeks pretty frequently and going on cheesy dates, and it's cute, it's sweet, it's nothing too special, but it was fun. So I read that as well. And just really quick, I'll tell you some of the books that I was in the middle of reading in January, but I did not actually get around to finishing. So I started Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. I'm only like 30 pages into this one. I'm slowly making my way through this, and I'm in no rush because I really want to savor like the ideas that she has in this. I'm also in the middle of reading Raven Unveiled. This is the 3rd book in the Fallen Empire series, so I'm still making my way through this one. But I will say that the male hero in this, his name's Garrick. I don't know how I feel about him, and I don't know how I feel about the setup of his romance with his love interest. Her name's Sora. I just feel kind of like, I don't know if I'm vibing with it. So very slow going with this one, but I will finish it at some point. And finally, I'm reading The Grief Stones by Catherine Addison. This is the 2nd book in the Cemeteries of Amalo series, and this follows this guy that's like called Thara, and he is a witness for the dead, which means he can kind of speak to dead people. He officiates funerals and he solves murders occasionally. So yeah, he's like a priest of sorts who solves crime, and this is the 2nd book in that series. He's solving some more murders and some more crimes, and also he's gay, so it's kind of about him like falling in love with this dude a little bit. I will say that for best experience reading the Cemeteries of Amalo series, you should probably read The Goblin Emperor. You should read The Goblin Emperor anyway. It's good stuff, but that's just my opinion. On to the other media. I want to tell you my top 5 songs of the month. These are the songs that I had on repeat. I could not stop listening to them, and I'm just so obsessed. So let's do a little countdown vibe. So I'll start with 5 first. So in number 5, we have Each Time by Tamino. Y'all already know that I love Tamino. He is just my favorite singer of all time. His voice is so ethereal. Like, he sounds genuinely otherworldly, and he sounds even better live than he does on the tracks. It's insane to say, but it's true. Like, being in his presence, I have seen him in concert twice, and being in his presence is just like, it's an insane, like, out of body experience. You could hear a pin drop. Like, nobody makes any noise when he is singing. It's just that incredible. Like, he's that mesmerizing. He's a siren. I don't know. Every time I listen to his albums, I find like a new favorite song. And so on my most recent listen of his album Amir, I fell in love with this song Each Time. It's so good. It's so good. Please give it a listen. Then we have Dinner and Diatribes by Hosier in the number 4 spot. Obsessed with this song. This song is so incredible, and I loved this song like in 2020, and I heavily associate this song with an ex, so I had not listened to it since 2020 because I was just like, who needs those memories, who needs that angst? But I kind of rediscovered how much I love that song, and why the hell would I let like a man ruin good music for me? How stupid is that? So Dinner and Diatribes, my bestie, I'm back on the wave. I love that song so much, and I played it so many times. It's embarrassing. Number 3, we have Angels in Tibet by Amaarae. Amaarae is incredible. You need to listen to her album Fountain Baby as soon as possible. Incredible stuff. And like I mentioned with Tamino, I'm quickly finding with Amaarae that every single time I come back to Fountain Baby and I listen to the album, I come away with a new favorite song. Originally my favorite song was Princess Going Digital, but now like I'm switching lanes and I'm obsessed with Angels in Tibet, and please listen to it. Number 2, we have Never Lose Me by Flo Milli. Obsessed with that song. Flo Milli did her big one. I just love her. I love her. I feel like I have never heard a Flo Milli song that's a flop, and it's just so good. Okay, it's just gonna put you in your bag. You feel real grown and sexy listening to it, and I think more people need to be on the Flo Milli wave because I want her to be up next. Like, I want her to be huge in 2024. Okay, so listen to Flo Milli. And in the number 1 spot, of course, we have Hiss by Megan Thee Stallion. I love Megan Thee Stallion. I have loved her since 2018. Since the Stally remix, I have loved her for so long, and I just adore seeing her evolution as an artist. I love to see her win, and I think Hiss is such a gigantic win. It's a great diss track. It's a great clapback. I love that she targets like so many different people in this song, but there's one particular woman who was very triggered by a few different bars in the song. And anyway, I think that Meg did her big one. She did her big one, and the best diss tracks are the ones that you can listen to over and over again, and it's still good music outside of it being a good clapback. That's what I like to see. Not many people can say that. Okay, not many people can say that. So yeah, for me, Meg is up there with my faves. I love a good diss track. Meg did what she needed to do. Fantastic stuff. Then I'm gonna get into the shows and films that I watched in January, because that's part of the reason why I barely finished anything that I was reading in January. I got very heavy into my TV watching bag. Big couch potato era for me. Okay, so one show, I didn't mention this in my Instagram post where I did my January wrap up, but I'm going to mention it here very quickly. I started watching Sons of Anarchy, and I feel like I woke up in a coma 3 days later and I was already on season 4. I have no idea how that happened or why, because I feel like the show is like, I hate it, but I also can't stop watching it. It's like, I can't fully explain it, but Jax Teller is a very interesting character to me, but everybody on the show is so horrific and heinous, and I hate them, but an interesting show nonetheless. So yeah, somehow I'm on season 4 of it, Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if I'll be continuing because so much crazy stuff happens in it. It's like the ultimate soap opera. It's like there's never a moment to breathe. There's never a moment to take a breath and to fully like comprehend what's going on in the story. So I feel like until I took a step back from watching it, like I stopped watching it around season 4, season 5, because something really stupid happened with a character that I like. His name is Juice, and there's this stupid racism plotline going on with Juice, and I'm just like, please, like, spare me. What's going on? At a certain point, I feel like the racism not even like making sense. Not that racism ever makes sense, but it just was like the way that race and their racial prejudices was playing into the plot. Just, it was stupid. Like, I just can't. So yes, I watched that. I devoted so much of January to that. It's actually insane. Partially because I'm obsessed with Charlie Hunnam. My Charlie Hunnam obsession really motivated a lot of my January watching, because after that I watched Rebel Moon, which is a new sci-fi movie by Zack Snyder. It's out on Netflix, and this is like part 1. There's going to be a part 2 in the spring. Rebel Moon was the worst. Rebel Moon is pretty much like a Star Wars knockoff. It's Star Wars fan fiction. It's Star Wars with the serial numbers shaved off. Like, it's almost embarrassing the degree to which it all feels stolen from Star Wars. There's even a scene that is like directly like the cantina scene in A New Hope, and it's just like, this is embarrassing. So it's just like really bad Star Wars fan fiction about this girl that's like a freedom fighter, and she's trying to help this moon, this like agricultural moon planet, like fight back against this big bad community of people. And I only watched this because Charlie Hunnam is in it, and he plays a pilot, very Han Solo-esque personality type. He was hot in it. He was very hot in it. But the movie was really hot dog shit. It was terrible. Absolute garbage. So yeah, I give that one 1 star on Letterboxd. I hated it. It was bad. But there are many beautiful people in it. So if you enjoy watching things with your coochie and not with your mind, like, I feel like you'll have a good time, you know? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of fine people in it actually, but it's not good cinema. Also, why is the bad guy in it getting tentacle fucked? Hello? Zack Snyder, you will pay for your crimes. Then another Charlie Hunnam motivated watch. I watched Crimson Peak. Incredible film. So a sharp contrast to how much I hated Rebel Moon. Crimson Peak is a really good like gothic romance horror thing about this woman who kind of gets seduced by this British aristocrat, and she's like an American heiress. He brings her back to his dilapidated manor that's falling apart. There's holes in the ceiling, and she's trying to make a home there with her new husband, and this is about all of the creepy happenings in her new house, which is called Crimson Peak. I absolutely adored this, but I feel like in 2013 everyone was obsessed with Tom Hiddleston. I never got it. I never understood it. In 2024 my eyes have been opened. Tom Hiddleston, I needed him badly. And like, he's a real sad boy. Y'all know I love a good sad boy in fiction, so I just was obsessed with him. Tom Hiddleston's character, obsessed. I will be thinking about this movie for a long time. I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but it was so good. Why was it so good? It was incredible. So then I watched The Holdovers, which is like a holiday movie, but it's a kind of a non-traditional holiday movie, and set at this boarding school. It's about this like history teacher, and yeah, so it's about him. He has to stay over the holidays to take care of the holdovers, this one child whose parents do not pick him up for the holidays. And so it's about them like bonding and stuff, and it also features Divine Joy Randolph, who I really enjoy that actress. I've watched her in a few different things. I watched her in a show before. She was in High Fidelity and I liked her, so I have been like keeping my eye on her career, and once I saw she was in this I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it. Paul Giamatti's in it. I love Paul Giamatti. I thought he was really good in the movie. It was just very fantastic. It kind of had like an almost found family vibe for people who like that in an academic setting, and it was really good. I think enjoyers of the Dead Poets Society will kind of love this movie. I had a good time. Back to my Charlie Hunnam's obsession. I just was going through his letterbox, like trying to find all of the different movies that he's been in so that I could look at his beautiful visage, and I actually ended up getting recommended by one of my mutuals. Their name's Dia. Dia recommended True History of the Kelly Gang, which is about a real bushranger, which pretty much means a thief. It was set in like the 1800s in Australia, and it's about a real bushranger named Ned Kelly and this gang that he had with like his brothers and some friends, and they essentially wear dresses and steal things. And so this true history of the Kelly Gang is a narrative about Ned Kelly's life and everything that he experiences, and Charlie Hunnam is in like the very beginning, so another like 10 minutes of screen time, slay. But he did his big one. But ultimately this movie is so incredible. It's 5 stars. It's a new favorite for me. I wish I really had like the language to describe why it was so good, because it's a little bit of an abstract and artsy film in some ways, and I don't have like all of the language to describe why it was so good, but it was an incredible film for me. So if you like stories about criminals, if you like homoerotics, if you like coming of age narratives, also if you enjoy Nicholas Hoult, you should watch this, because he gives a really good performance in this as like a secondary character. His performance was so good. But this was just a really incredible like tragedy, and I loved it. Like, I would highly recommend it. It seems like it's a pretty niche movie, maybe. I don't know that a lot of people know about it. I certainly didn't know about it until my friend Dia put me on. So good stuff. Incredible stuff, actually. The final thing that I watched in January was The Artful Dodger, and it's kind of a spin-off of, or not kind of, it's definitely a spin-off of Oliver Twist, and it follows the character Jack Dawkins and Fagin, who are two characters in the Oliver Twist story. This is about Jack Dawkins all grown up, and he has assumed a new identity as a doctor in the British colony of Australia. And so this is about him trying to forge a life for himself and trying to revolutionize medicine, because the medical practices at the local hospital are very antiquated and terrible. And so while he is, you know, trying to revolutionize medicine, he ends up meeting the governor's daughter, Lady Bell, who is also really interested in medicine. And so this is about them revolutionizing medicine together and also falling in love at the same time. They have incredible chemistry. Like, it has that Bridgerton vibe. Like, you know, it has the female gaze. You know, like, it it's something about it that is just so intensely swoon worthy and incredible, and I just loved it so much. So I think if you're looking for something swoon worthy and fun and historical, it's definitely worth watching. But there's also some plot stuff that goes on that's kind of fun, so if you like watching like mischief, mayhem, and crime go on, that's also happening in the show. Good stuff. I love a good historical drama, so I'm really glad that I finally gave this a watch, and I kind of wanted to get a second season. I don't know if it will or not. I would love for it to get a second season and to get more out of these characters, because it was a very, very interesting season of television. So that's all the stuff that I consumed and loved and maybe didn't love this past month. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below what was the best thing that you watched, listened to, and read in January of 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, you guys. Mwah.